Some questions?
We have online question from Rupa Vilas Prabhu. If one engages in social works like helping the sick, feeding the poor, will this result in having sukriti? Does this path leads also to Krishna consciousness? Is there a difference between pious work and Krishna-seva?
Yes. Sometimes Srila Gurudev used the term nitya sukriti, because in the sequence, agyata sukriti, unknown, not just pious works, but contact with the nirguna plane. That means transcending trigunatita, transcending tama, raja, sattva, material modes, wherein material piety may be expressed or observed. Agyata sukriti to gyata sukriti, knowing, willful participation for one's betterment. Then shraddha, faith. So, Srila Guru Maharaj, on the basis of quoting the Jaiva Dharma of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, says that the accumulation of sukriti, and by this we mean nitya sukriti, contact with the nirguna plane, the nirguna agent. It's beyond this world, descending reality. Contact, the accumulation of sukriti, to contact with nirguna agency, manifests in the capacity for appreciation, or shraddha. So, also on the basis of Rupa Goswami's sloka, Krishna bhakti rasa bhavitamati kriyatam yadi kutopi na labhyate tat praloyam muryam ekalam janmakoti sukritayar na labhyate. He makes this point in an extreme way by saying janmakoti means 10 million births of sukriti, and whatever, you can take it in two ways, but in this instance we'll take it as pious activities. Janmakoti sukriti na labhyate. You won't come in contact with Krishna consciousness proper through that sort of accumulation. But through accumulation of nitya sukriti, contact with nirguna agents, sadhu, shastra, guru, Vaishnav, and any contact, however remote, like Guru Maharaj mentioned, sometimes we've seen in India the birds, they like to take their seat on the dome of a mat. Right? You see so many birds on the dome. But sometimes when they're looking for a place they want to land, they're actually circumambulating the deities. So they circumambulate the deities and then they land. So that's agyata. They are not doing that consciously, but unconsciously there's some contact with nirguna agent, and they're accumulating sukriti. The chickens from the people next door used to like to come here, and they eat whatever they eat. Not sure. But inevitably there's some prasadam on the ground and they're eating that. So they're accumulating sukriti. The dog Milo, he hears kirtan, takes prasadam. Sometimes he would sit through the class. So in many ways, he has the affection of the Vaishnavas. It's accumulating sukriti. which in the future will be expressed as appreciation for Krishna consciousness. So, it's not to be conflated with pious activities, like what's generally considered altruistic. Feeding the hungry, clothing the poor, that kind, giving shelter. One man in Navadvip took Guru Maharaj to task for Gaudiya Math activities, saying, why don't you do something valuable like the Boy Scouts, what they're doing? They're really helping the people, serving the people. And Guru Maharaj gave this example. He said, suppose a man has a program where, like they have animal shelters, dealing with dogs as dogs. He's giving them food, shelter, some medicine, some care, right? He said, and so dealing with dogs as dogs, they remain dogs, but they're like healthy dogs. He said, but another man has a program where he's dealing with dogs in such a way as they become converted into human beings. He said, that's what we're doing. And we can say, he's just giving that as an example, almost metaphorically speaking, but here it's taking place literally. Our dog will be converted into a human being with the capacity for the appreciation for Krishna consciousness. How wonderful is that? When Muralishwar Prabhu and I were traveling in Russia, we're in this town, you can correct me if I say the name wrong, it's Petrozavodsk. Close enough? Right. There's a big lake there and nearby. And we're staying in the house of one devotee, and his sister's like hearing the programs and seeing every night we're there having Hari Katha, Krishna Katha. And then she thinks after a while, like, why don't you do something valuable? Like you could go out, and like feed people or, give them clothing or shelter or something. Every night you're sitting here, talking about Krishna. Why don't you do something, meaningful and substantial? And I thought, she does not understand the value of Hari Katha, of Krishna Katha. But our leaders, the leaders of the Krishna consciousness movement, the Braja Gopis, they understand its value. Tava katamritam, tapta jivanam, kavibir iditam, kalmasha apaham. Shravana Mangalam, Srimad Atatam, Bhuvi Granantite, Burida Jana. In the Gopi Gita, they're saying to one another, why are they singing these songs of separation? Because Krishna vanished, he's hiding himself from them. And this has plunged them in an ocean of separation suffering. And they're counseling one another, comforting one another by saying, actually, the topics of talking about Krishna, that relieves one of the sufferings of existence. And we could say, well, they're the Braja Gopis. This is another type of suffering. This suffering, the heart, feeling pain of separation from Krishna. But what about for those who are just suffering, what is that? Tribhuta Admika, the threefold sufferings of material existence, Adhyatmika, Adibhotika, Adidevika, self-induced miseries in connection with others, and natural disasters and that type. What about for them? Actually, their advice is for everyone. They're saying, this is the solution to all types of suffering, whether in the material plane or in the spiritual plane. When, during the Rath Yatra, we know that King Prataparudra Maharaj, he so much wanted the association of Sri Chaitanya Dev, but Mahaprabhu is observing societal norms of what's acceptable and unacceptable behavior. So as a sannyasi, it would be scandalous for him to meet with a king and have intimate contact with the king. So the devotees know that Prataparudra Maharaj is a great devotee, but Mahaprabhu's formally, officially rejecting him because he's a king. So their strategy is just to, whenever they can, tell Mahaprabhu how great is the devotion of Prataparudra Maharaj. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Ramananda Roy, they're all, whenever they get a chance, mentioning something like that. And Nityananda Prabhu, they devise some way, because the king cannot bear living without having the darshan of Mahaprabhu. And they're like sending some cloth, send your son. They're trying to figure out different ways that he can feel connection with Mahaprabhu. But observing the king's devotion and his humility, perhaps it was Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, no doubt, because you've got the grace, and indicated by Mahaprabhu, because you've got the grace of the devotees, it's very likely you'll get the association of the Lord. That Mahaprabhu is giving hints like that. If he gets the grace of all of you, then anything is possible. And that's the position of devotees. They're not trying to approach the Lord directly, but through his agents. So during that Rath Yatra, we know Mahaprabhu is dancing the Udanda Nritya, Tandava Nritya, Madhura Nritya. Udanda means leaping up into the air, like a danda. High in the air and down, and leaping very high and down. Sometimes he's dancing like that. Tandava Nritya means like Mahadeva, mad dance of oblivion. And then Madhura Nritya is very sweet, swaying, dancing, and expressing his heart's feelings, mirroring the sentiments of Srimati Radharani, Radha Baba Subolita, Nomi Krishna Swarupam. But all of this dancing, and with his devotees, lost in divine madness dancing, he becomes exhausted. So when there's a break, and there's a intermission, so to speak, and there's a picnic for Jagannath, Subhadra, Balabhadra. Mahaprabhu at that time enters the garden, Jagannath Ballabha garden. And the devotees told Prataparudra Maharaj to be waiting there, but not in the dress of a king, just in the dress of a humble devotee. And Mahaprabhu is lost in his divine madness and exhausted, and so he is lying down, and the king approaches and begins massaging the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu and singing this Gopi Gita, which are the songs of separations of the Braja Gopis. And there, when this is giving Mahaprabhu great joy, and it's mirroring the sentiments in his heart and giving some relief. And when he comes to this verse, Tava katamritam tapta jivanam kavibiriditam kalmasha apaham Shravana mangalam srimaratatam bhuvi grananti te burida jana. Mahaprabhu jumps up and says, burida, buri, it means you're giving me the most wonderful thing. You are really the most benevolent person in the world. This is what you need to give. That which should be given, which is life-saving, freeing one from suffering, enriching the heart with wealth, you're giving that very thing to me now, and I can't properly reciprocate this. All I can do is embrace you. And he embraces Prataparudra Maharaj. But he's saying, Burida, Burida, meaning like, yes, you're the person who's giving the substantial thing. So only spiritual people can appreciate this. Yanisha sarvabhutanam tasyam jagrati samyami. Right? Yeah. Pasyam. It's like madness to the materialists, as materialism is madness to those in deep spiritual culture. Awake in two different worlds. And let's just say both of those worlds exist. So, they cannot, as that lady could not see, the person, they could not see the benefit of this. Whereas Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, an expression Guru Maharaj heard from him was, Krishna Kata Durbhika. He said, the only shortage I recognize in this world, the only real famine in this world is there's a shortage of Krishna Katha, talking about Krishna. Right? And again, this precedent, but aren't there, we read about it every day, there are so many unfortunate situations. Yeah, we're reading about the nature of the world of mortality. As the person who said to me, do you think it would be helpful if I would go work in a crematorium? And that would make me more grave and thoughtful about, memento mori. I'd be more thoughtful about this world and the value of human life. So do you think it would be advisable to work in a crematorium? And I said, you're already living in a crematorium. This world is a crematorium. I mentioned, Google says 110 billion people have lived. Just dealing with their statistics, not confirming nor denying, just referring as a means of giving an example. So if 110 billion people have lived, and there's around 8 billion right now, right? 7 or 8 billion. So that means over 100 billion are dead. They're all over the place, right? They're people, and if not people, animals, living beings, whatever. I once said that to Srila Prabhupada on a walk in Berkeley, like saying, you're always talking to us about mortality and that, and saying, but in America it's hidden away in an ambulance or, people, they don't see death. And Prabhupada stopped, he was like a little, he said, it's all around, everywhere, and we saw a bird shortly thereafter, like drop out of the sky and just drop dead, And I realized what he was saying. So, it's ignorance or denial. Guru Maharaj said, this requires some bravery to deal with mortality, the inevitability of mortality. He said, come and face the real danger. People are putting all their energy in other places, but the material world, the world of mortality, the world of exploitation, it has a certain operating system, you could say. And you can try and tweak it a little bit this way or that way, or reconfigure it. But the bottom line is it's the world of exploitation, the world of mortality. Guru Maharaj Gurudev liked to quote the Gray's elegy, the boast of heraldry, the pomp of power, all that beauty, all that wealth e'er gave, away to like the inevitable hour, the paths of glory lead but to the grave. Right? So this is inevitable, unavoidable. It's one of the great themes of literature and story. Mortality, the inevitability of mortality, how to deal with that. So what could make someone immortal? We hear in the Bhagavatam the pastime of Mohini Murti, right? And the churning of the milk ocean. And it's at the Suvarnabhumi airport in Thailand, in the immigration section. They have the pastime of Kurma avatar. They're showing him in a Vishnu form, but it's Kurma Dev, and on one side the Devas, on the other side the Asuras, and they're churning the milk ocean. And we're told, in the general sense, why they're seeking amrita, nectar. The word in Sanskrit, amrita, is interesting because death is mrityu, mrityu. So amrita means deathless. So it's that nectarine substance that's supposed to make you deathless or immortal. Which is interesting, we think like, oh, this is some old Puranic legend or tale or the Hindu mythology. No, it's just reality, folks. Everyone's still searching for immortality. Right? Some through science, some through religion. But everyone is searching for immortality. In other words, they don't want to die. No one wants to die. So in that pastime, the milk ocean is there, and as Leela would have it, they're having some difficulty, like how to turn. So the Kurma avatar appears, tortoise, the turtle incarnation. So, and he has a unique problem, which is he has an itch on his back. And we know, like, their legs go, we could think, no, but he's omnipotent. He could make his, like in Govardhan, the arms go out and they're eating, But he's not playing that way here. So here, he can't reach the center of his back and itch the itch. So they take a mountain, because he's rather large also. They take a mountain, the Mandara mountain, and put it on his back. Then they take a giant celestial serpent, Vasuki, wrap the serpent around the mountain, and on one side of the Asuras, the other side, and they're going like this, like the old churning rod. And that's making the mountain move like this. And in the ocean of many things are being, Lakshmi Devi comes out of the ocean, and that's significant. Airavata, Indra's elephant, the moon comes out of many different significant generation from the milk ocean. But while that's happening, the mountain is moving on the back of and Kurmadev is going like, ah. It's giving him some relief. But then we're told everything about the Absolute is significant, absolutely. And so his breathing is manifesting the Vedas. Okay? So as he's breathing out the divine sound vibrations of the Vedas. But also, this has another significance. was given by Srila Guru Maharaj. We had one gentleman when we started promoting Srila Guru Maharaj in San Jose, and he and his family would come, an Indian family. They're from South India. And we were always telling them, if you ever go to India, visit Guru Maharaj at the Mat. And I never thought they would actually follow through. So when I'm at the Mat with Srila Guru Maharaj, and this gentleman shows up at Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat in Navadvip, I'm like, really excited. We take him up in the afternoon to see Srila Guru Maharaj. And Guru Maharaj is politely and talking and inquiring, where have you come from? And he mentions the Kurmuk Stanam. It's what do they call a hill station, right? Hill station in like some part of South India. So he's saying, Kurmuk Stanam, something like that. And Guru Maharaj knows from his travels in South India, and they're having this, like polite conversation. And I can see it's kind of like, that's what it's going to be, And, but I had just read the 12th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and something I read there, more than just something or one part, but I could not adjust or understand properly. And my thinking, and it was a reference to the Kurma avatar and this pastime. And I thought, it's the last chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 12th canto. We know the 10th canto, how significant that is as we approach Janmashtami and the birth of Krishna and the beginning of Krishna's pastimes. But, from Kumar, Poganda, Kishore, with Nanda Yashoda, then with the cowherd boys, then with the cowherd girls, the Braja Gopis, very beautifully, the gradual expression culminating in Madhura Rasa pastimes, Sri Krishna, Radharani, Braja Gopis. Then 11th canto, very important, full of so many spiritual instructions, Krishna's final instructions, the Uddhava and the Navayogendras and the Avadut Gita. There are many wonderful Siddhanta and slokas in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. But in the 12th canto of the Bhagavatam, there are the Kali Yuga predictions and the summary of the work, and now we're in the last chapter. You think it must be and it's a short chapter, so we would take it that all these slokas are very significant and they're on point about what is the purpose of the Bhagavatam, the conclusion of the Bhagavatam. Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj, he liked to chant like all slokas that have Krishna Nam in them or Hari Nam, or, So the very last sloka of the Bhagavatam, he liked to chant this and like a group of slokas that he chanted regularly, and says, Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam Pranamo Dukkha Samanas Tan Namami Harim Param. That's the way it concludes. Just think, the last verse of the Bhagavatam singing the glories of Nam Sankirtan. Sarva Papa Pranashanam, destroys all sinfulness. Nama Sankirtanam Sarva Papa Pranamo Dukkha Samana, relieves all suffering, and Tannamami Harim Param, and the divine name of Krishna. So, but there was this sloka there that begins the first line, Prishte Brahmyara Manda Mandara Giri Gravagya Kandu Yanan Nidralo Kamatakrite. I can't recall the rest at this moment. But it's about the Kurma avatar. So he says, I just come from Kurmaksthana. I just read the 12th canto. So I'm saying, is their conversation like winding down? And it appears to be. And normally in the afternoon, we're not asking Guru Maharaj like ontological questions. Usually the male comes in, it's more general. But I just thought, he's coming from there. I just read, and I said, I just read in the 12th canto of the Bhagavatam, and there's, in the last chapter, there's mention of the Kurma avatar, which is wonderful and beautiful, and we revere that pastime as it's presented in the 8th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. But I can't understand why it's being referenced again in the concluding chapter of the Bhagavatam. Sagar Maharaj was there also. And then Guru Maharaj, he went like, I thought, I'm troubling his brain. And I started going, Maharaj, and I was saying, you don't have to, I realized, but Guru Maharaj was doing what he says he does, which is, he scans all the scriptures. He said, like a computer. We're now very acquainted with how computers scan all this information. With Guru Maharaj's own example about himself. He said, I scan all the scriptures like a computer. Then the statements of the great devotees, of the acharyas, of my Gurudev, and many things he considers. And I realized, and this is the beauty of Srila Guru Maharaj, which is multifaceted, but in other words, this is not something standard that he had answered 100 times. Right? This is Guru Maharaj. This is the first time he's ever been asked this question. And he's going to give an answer to something that's never been asked and never been answered. This is Guru Maharaj. And he's like scanning, and I'm starting to, and I'm like, as I'm going to say, we can take this up at another time, Guru Maharaj says, what was the purpose of their churning? Like that. He begins his, saying they're seeking nectar, amrita. Right? But the asuras, they have one idea of what is amrita. The devatas, they have another idea of what is amrita. And we could say, the Bhagavatam then yet again has another conception of what is amrita or nectar. Right? So he said, the reason, he said, and then what is the presentation of Srimad Bhagavatam? As he mentions in the introduction, the beginning of the Golden Volcano of Divine Love, that he's saying that the Srimad Bhagavatam is given by Sri Chaitanya Dev, takes us from the plane of ontological jugglery to the domain of rasa. We have to understand it's simple but clear truth. The Srimad Bhagavatam is about rasa. It culminates in the presentation of rasa. So Srila Guru Maharaj will say, rightly so in his sloka as expressed, Yadamiyam Mahima Sri Bhagavatam Katayam Pratipadam Anubhutam Apya Labdabideya Tadakila Rasa Murti Shamalila Avalambam Madhura Rasadi Sri Radha Padapadmam Prapadye. Not only that, but he's saying Madhura Rasa. The Bhagavatam culminates really in the 10th canto in the presentation of Madhura Rasa pastimes. And then after that, it's moving, encompassing other things, moving left canto, etc. But it culminates, and particularly these 5 chapters in the 10th canto, roughly 29 through 9, I'm not good at math, 30, whatever, Panchadhyaya, those chapters. That's the zenith point of Madhura Rasa presentation in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's alluded to in various ways, but that's where it's zenith point is. And that's the whole Bhagavatam, we're told, the first, second canto, lotus feet of Krishna, 3, 4, going up, 10th canto, the smiling face of Krishna. Just as Bilva Mangal says in his Karnamritam, Madhuram, Madhuram, Madhurasya Vibho. Madhuram, Madhuram, Badanam, Madhuram, Madhugandhi Mridu, Smitame Tadaho. Madhuram, 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 Madhuram. He's saying, sweet, 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 sweet. Krishna is so sweet. Saying, the whole of Krishna is very sweet, but if we look more closely, his face is even sweeter. And then if he smiles, that smile is even sweeter than that. So sweet, 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 it's sweeter. Madhuram, Madhura rasa, the sweet rasa. The Bhagavatam culminates in the presentation of Madhura rasa. How cautious do you have to be? How about 9 cantos of caution? Think about it. Because you used to wonder, why the 10th canto? Remember when I first joined, it said, Krishna book, summary study of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Saying, why did you wait so long? 9 canto introduction to the 10th canto, and then a 2 canto summary conclusion afterwards. Right? Final thoughts. Right? 9 cantos of cautious approach, so that when you you understand from Janmadyasya Yataha, Yaton Vayad Itratas Cha Arteshu Abhignya Swarat. Right? Someone like Chakravarti Thakur can say Janma, Janmadi, Janmadyasya Adi, Adi Rasa. This Adi is a reference to Madhura Rasa. The Bhagavatam announces in the very beginning that everything is springing from Madhura Rasa. So this gopi talk, their talk about Krishna, it's not just the silliness, like silly, half-educated, silly jungle girls. They're just madly in love with Krishna. They like to talk about him to the point of madness. No. Madhura Rasa is the original substance. As we told yesterday in Baladev's appearance day, quoting Madhvacharya, when he said, there's a thing, the devata of that thing, like air, vayu, the devata of that thing, Guru Tattva. The heart of the matter of Guru Tattva, Balaram, Baladev. What's in the heart of Balaram, Baladev? Radha Krishna, Chidlilamritam. So Madhva's taking it that way, and only Guru Maharaj can speak this, and he says, but I say just the opposite. Radha and Krishna. So Radha and Krishna, then Baladev, then Guru Tattva, Devata, the thing. Subjective evolution of consciousness. Right? So Radha and Krishna at the source of everything. That means Madhura Rasa. Shama Lila Avalambam. Guru is saying, the whole Shama Lila, as Gurudev once told me, black is the color of Madhura Rasa. Right? Sham, Shama Lila, Avalam. It's all dependent upon her. Prati Padam Anubhutam Apjab Labideya. He's saying, ostensibly other subject matters are being discussed, but really, it's only meant to take you ultimately in the direction of this divine substance and the service of her holy lotus feet. Shamalila Avalambam Madhura Rasadi Sri Radha Padapadmam Prapadye. So Guru Maharaj is saying, and it keeps it on, on thematic. Saying, so the Bhagavatam is this literature that's presenting Madhura Rasa. That's its purpose. Because Krishna means Madhura Rasa. He's Rasaraj. Rasaraj Mahabal. Right? So that's the whole purpose of the Bhagavatam. So then, if you examine this pastime in the light of the Bhagavat, then you'll see Devatas on one side, Asuras on the other side, with different concepts of what is Amrita, immortality, nectar. The Bhagavatam cannot be presenting a story that the substantial aspect of which is that the victors, those who emerge victorious, will become immortal in the generic sense of the word. Like, live forever. For what? Live forever for what? To do what? You know. The demons, asuras, or family and friends as we call them, just kidding. They want to live forever in this world, which is just not possible. This isn't like some fanatical religious position. It's actually called reality. You can't live here forever. Right? And back to the boast of heraldry, pomp of power, a companion sloka I like to quote, Thomas Nash, Litany in the Time of Plague, says, beauty is but a flower, wrinkles will devour. Brightness falls from the air, queens have died both young and fair. Like, sometimes the beauty of the female face compared to a flower. Beauty, softness, this, that, and the other thing. But like these flowers, I get flowers all the time. They're really beautiful, like the first day, second day, third day, fourth. It's like the portrait of Dorian Gray. You know, after a while, they're just, you know, like, and you think, it was so beautiful once. How did it become like this? Right? That's the nature of the world. So then they think, no, but we've got some beauty cream. Put this stuff on, and your face won't wrinkle. Right? And I mean, I'm not just making fun of women. Men are equally guilty of all these things. But especially, no, I wouldn't say that. But you know what I'm talking about. The beauty industry. And even a woman, or feminist, wrote a book called The Beauty Myth, and so many things. In other words, the artificial standards of beauty that are imposed upon women that are impossible to live up to. Because inevitably, age will take effect. Right? So the asuras, they're always trying to figure out ways to delay mortality, whether it's in the form of wrinkles, gray hair, failing health, and everything that precedes ultimately and finally death. Even then, they're like cryogenics. You know cryogenics? Where they freeze somebody. Like Walt Disney. You know Walt Disney, Mickey Mouse. You know. He's frozen somewhere. You know, he was one of those people who believe, like, you know, thaw me when you find a cure for whatever I died from. It doesn't understand. What you died from is called mortality. And there's no cure for that. There's no insurance policy that gets you out of mortality, like Hiranyakashipu tried to do. The Hiranyakashipu insurance company, right? Not inside or outside, check, you know, all right, that's $100, you know. Not in the day or the night, check, you know. Not by any manner of check. I mean, you want the full policy? Yeah, I want the full policy, you know. That won't save you, right? Tavakara kamala barena kam adbhuta sringam dalita hiranyakashipu tanave keshavadrita narahari rupa of Nrsimha Dev. And mrityu sarvaharas chaham. We're told when the first atom bomb was tested out in the desert in New Mexico, they did a test, and the different scientists are there watching it. The one named Oppenheimer, who was one of the lead scientists on the project, when they saw this, it was so horrifying I mean, on the one hand, it was a scientifically successful experience. On the other hand, it was so horrifying. The only thing he could think of was this line from Bhagavad Gita. This is not like a devotee story. This is a fact. Everyone knows, and it's in his biography or whatever. So when he saw that, the mushroom cloud rising, it reminded him of the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the Virat Rupa, and he didn't say in Sanskrit, but it's Mrityu Sarva Haras Chaham. He said something in English to the effect of, time I am destroyer of the worlds. But actually Krishna said, I am death, I become death, destroyer of the worlds. That's what he said. Right? So that has to be dealt with. So Guru Maharaj is saying, so these asuras and devas, they want to get the nectar of immortality, right? You say the devatas, they want to live, forever in heavenly paradise. The asuras and earthly paradise, so to speak. He said, but what is the reason this is being referenced in the final chapter of the Bhagavatam is it's telling us what is the ultimate nectarine substance? What is the ultimate amrita? What it is madhura rasa. So it's saying that's what is to be searched after, sought after, and attained. And so that's the explanation. And he quoted that Prishte Brahmya Ramanda Mandara Giri Gravagya Kandu Yanan sloka. Because it's saying also that breathing of Kurmadev, it's the breathing, you can hear that in the ocean. When the ocean comes in and the ocean goes out, that's tantamount to the breathing of the Kurma avatar. And there's some mystic relation there to Madhura Rasa that Gurudev indicated. Because when they were trying to establish that Jal Mandir in the center of Govindakund, I forget the precise name, but for Giriraj Govardhan, and that Mahaprabhu can visit Nityananda. And they drain Govindakunda, but they're unable to establish a foundation. So Gurudev told the pujari that to make some param anna, and on the altar to chant this mantra, this sloka from the Bhagavatam, Prishte Brahmya Ramanda Mandara Giri Gravagya Kanduyanan. And then after that, this will appease Kurmadev, invoke his divine grace. Then mysteriously after that, they were able to establish a foundation, and the temple was built there. So, Mahaprabhu, hearing the Gopi Gita sloka, Tava Katamritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibir Iditam Kalmasha Apaham Srimad-Atatam Shravana Mangalam Srimad-Atatam Bhuvi Grananti Te Buridajana. He said, you're actually giving people something that is of infinite value. Sangsaresman Kanardopi Satsanga Sevadrirninam. The most valuable treasure you can get in life is to come in connection with the devotees and hear about Krishna. This is it. And so that's the most substantial and valuable thing that you can extend to another person. This will put an end to their suffering and material existence. Right? This will enrich the heart with spiritual wealth. It's the beginning of just hearing about Krishna has introduced so much infinite auspiciousness into your life. And for someone to say like, well, you could be doing some good work like the Boy Scouts. Means they have no capacity to appreciate spiritual substance. those who can, Mahaprabhu is embracing Pratap Parudra Maharaj, saying, you're really the giver. You're really giving something valuable. You're really benevolent. The real altruist. You're doing the real work to save human civilization. We know Guru Maharaj went to collect a donation for the Gaudiya Math to build a Math and the Nath Mandir, the Shravan Sadhan, the place for hearing and everything that goes with it. And it should be that Guru Maharaj and his assistant, they go to this man, mention why they're there, he gives a check, they go. That's what they're expecting. And any of this happens very often. Very pious men or charitable trust come in, make a brief presentation, they give some funds to help construct. But the man who agreed previously was no longer there, and a new man was there. And when Guru Maharaj and his assistant came, that man said, if there are any surplus funds, we certainly won't give that money to build a math or a temple. It will be used like feeding, sheltering, clothing of the people, some program like that, but not for making, what is the use of such a thing? And Srila Guru Maharaj was really caught off guard, surprised, shocked by what the man was saying, and then he thought also, we were supposed to come and everyone's expecting we'll return with this sizable donation. Now we're going to come back empty-handed. And he said, I prayed to my Guru Maharaj what to say in this circumstance. And it's what came to Guru Maharaj is peculiar because the sloka from the Bhagavatam, from those 5 chapters section on the Rasa Leela, at the conclusion, Vikriditam Brajabudu Viridam Javishnu Swadhan Vato Anushanaya Databarna Yedyak Bhakti Param Bhagavati Pratilabdikamam Hridrogamashu Api Hinoti Achirena Dhira. Saying, what are the qualifications for hearing the Bhagavatam? But this line, Hridrogam, means heart disease. So Guru Maharaj said, and Guru Maharaj came up with a very shocking example, an extraordinary example. And he spoke dramatically in first person saying, when I was in the body of an elephant, I ate a jungle and my hunger was not satisfied. He said, when I was in the body of a stool-eating pig, I ate a mountain, a hill of stool, and my hunger was not satisfied. So he said, Hridrogam, that heart disease, consumerism, consumption, everything based on the notion of like, that I will acquire, control, and consume that which is lower than me, and that will satisfy the hunger of my heart. Saying none of this will satisfy that hunger. But we are addressing the real hunger of the heart, which can only be addressed and nourishing it with the nectar of Krishna Katha. As we approach the Janmashtami, we will hear the sloka, Nivrittatar Shaya Upagiyamanad Baboshidat Shrota Manobhiramat. Oshud means medicine, Oshud. And in this sloka, Parikshit Maharaj, remember, he's not drinking anything or eating anything for 7 days. And he's saying, but when I'm hearing from you, Sukadeva Goswami, and you're talking about Krishna and the pastimes of Krishna, saying, I'm drinking this nectarine substance, I have no hunger, I have no thirst, I'm not becoming weak, I'm becoming more and more enlivened, being nourished with this divine nectarine substance. So this is the difference between what is mundane and the spiritual. Belief in this possibility, this prospect, This necessity that Krishna Katha, talking about Krishna, that addresses the Hrid Rogam, the disease of the heart. That alone is the cure for what we're suffering from, of which the consequence is being embodied, navigating the material world. Body, biological expression of the soul's delusion. But when this nectarine substance is sprinkled on the heart, then the Swarup begins to manifest, and we realize my fulfillment is not to be sought after in this world. There is another world, Trigunatita, that transcends this plane. And I have a life there, an identity there, filled with loving relationships with Krishna and his devotees, his entourage. It's real. Reality the beautiful. Nothing in this world brings you in connection with that divine substance. Krishna alone can give that. And he distributes himself through his agents, Sadhu, Shastra, Guru, Vaishnav, his prasadam, his holy name, the deity, Tulsi, in many ways. Stane stita shrutigatam tanuvan manovir. The beauty of this is, whatever, stane stita means whatever your situation is. Whatever it is. Well, no, I need to explain some of the details of my actual situation. No, it says, whatever it is, from whatever you are, wherever you are on the gender spectrum, on the social spectrum, on the economic, wherever it is, whatever part of the world you are, wherever, if you begin hearing from Krishna's agent and your heart resonates with that, Hridayena binugato yo dharmasta nibodhata, then you're coming in connection with reality. Then just follow the heart's lead. The heart leaps up and says, yes. There's another question?
Yes, there is a question, online question from Dhananjaya Prabhu. What happens to those who come in connection with the Vaishnavas in offensive mood? Do they also get some kind of sukriti?
Yes, there are examples of that. We see, Nalakuvara and Manigriva come to mind. That they were so intoxicated in a drunken state that they're naked, partying with these heavenly girls, Mother and Nard Muni, and maybe Parbat. Anyway, they come upon the scene, and they don't bother to cover themselves or show any respect, so they're cursed to become trees, right? And they become two trees, Yamalarjuna. But even the curse of the Vaishnava is benevolent. So where do these trees appear? In Vrindavan. So there's these two trees in Vrindavan. And there were formerly these demigods. Then, as Leela would have it, Krishna's as a toddler, a little baby crawling, and he's getting into trouble in different ways, and his mother wants to protect him. So they have a grinding mortar, right? Which means a heavy stone. It looks like this. Right? So, Damodar, Yashoda's puts a rope around Krishna's waist and ties him to the stone grinding mortar, thinking like, then he can just go around that and he'll be safe and nothing will happen. But the Kamsa is sending different demonic wizards to try and kill Krishna, disrupt the pastimes in Vrindavan. So and they can take different shapes, different forms, enter different things. So one, what am I thinking? I'm thinking of another pastime. But anyway, so Krishna, he's crawling, but the grinding mortar comes down, and now it's rolling, Krishna, and there's the two trees. And he goes between the two trees, he's just crawling as a baby. And the grinding mortar gets stuck on the two trees. But because he can show his divine power or conceal it, as a baby, he pulls and the two trees come crashing down. Right? These giant trees, he rips them down from crawling. And as the trees collapse and die, these two demigods come out, Nalakuvra and Manigriva. So it goes back to the time. They were cursed by Narada for their misbehavior, but his curse was benevolent, and that they became trees in Vrindavan, and Krishna liberated them. Right? So the Vaishnavas, Kripam, Buddhiyat, Paraduka Duki, their only actual suffering, they have no ego related to this world, the name and fame of this world. Vaishnavi Pratishta Tatikora Nishna, their only concern is with the Vaishnavas, Krishna and his own. But we're told that if there's any unhappiness on their part, it's seeing others suffering for want of Krishna consciousness. So we see repeatedly when they are offended, abused in different ways, how merciful they are. Aho Ananta Dasanam in the 9th canto of the Bhagavatam, when Ambarish Maharaj, who's faultless in every way imaginable, the sage Durvasa Muni took offense at the most inoffensive behavior, actually. It's just an ego thing. And he offended Ambarish Maharaj. But we're told for his offense, the Sudarshan Chakra of Krishna came to personally punish him. He went to Brahma, to Shiva, to Vishnu. He went everywhere and could not, the Sudarshan keep spinning and following him, until at last he had to approach the lotus feet of Ambarish Maharaj. And Ambarish Maharaj didn't take any offense. And that's when the slogan, the Ho Ananta Dasana is saying, just see the devotees of the Lord. Although I offended you, and really I offended you, I committed aparad toward you, you were my well-wisher. You didn't take offense, and actually you wished me well, the best things for me. Just see what is the nature of the devotees of the Lord. This, should not be misconstrued to think, oh, then I'll get the mercy of the Vaishnava by offending them. Not a good strategy. Anything else?
In Sri Isopanisad we read, Om purnam adah purnam idam. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj also says that a part of the infinite is infinite.
Yes.
How come that we, being the parts of the infinite, are limited at the same time? Is it achintya?
Yes, achintya beda bed. And then the Das Mul of Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions the position of the jiva. So Guru Maharaj says, jiva is an impoverished Shakti. It needs to take shelter of the Asraya Vigraha Chit Shakti, become enriched with their potential. It's there, latent talent, ability, devotion. So, angsa, mameva angsa jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. Whew. Here they come again. So it's saying, in some ways similar, some ways different. What is the different? Magnitude. So the magnitude of completeness of the Vishnu Tattva expansions, that's different than what can be expressed in the angshas, the infinitesimal, complementary aspects of the infinite. But they reach their fullness, their fulfillment potential, and when they become dedicating units, as opposed to exploiting units. So through dedication, they find fulfillment. Hare Krishna.